All right guys, we're gonna be going over the strict muscle up progression from the rings and working on transition from the box and then getting ourselves up onto the high rings. This is a great progression to work on primarily the turnover and the transition in the muscle up. Sometimes we have plenty of strength for the pull up and plenty of strength for the dip, but if we're missing that transition, it's gonna be really hard to get a muscle up correctly. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about the false grip. When we start off with the false grip, personally, I like to start off standing underneath the straps to develop the false grip and grab just underneath the outside of the strap. Once I grab that strap, I'm gonna think about bringing my knuckles in together, and then I'm gonna lower myself down to where it's resting on my wrist. Now, if we start to lose that wrist and we lose a gap between our hand, we wanna think about keeping that nice and close to the wrist. So, once I get myself into that false grip, I'm gonna come down to the bottom, turn my hands out to disengage the biceps while maintaining that wrist position on the rings. From here, we're gonna start off by thinking about pulling the knuckles in together, retracting to the shoulders, and then transitioning over the top. This may be really easy, or if this is hard, we can start by stepping behind the rings so we have a different angle on the rings. Now, like I said, this will be a lot easier to come over the top, but if we're using too much of our legs, we need to take that out of the equation by stepping forward. Now, when I step forward, my feet are now in front of the point of where the straps are attached. Get myself into that false grip, bring the knuckles together, lay back, turn the arms out, and then from here, without using my legs, I'm gonna pull it to my chest and then come over the top. If we can't, try to work on transitioning into no feet, which will then transition nicely into our next progression so we can support ourselves in that position. Now, heading over to the box, this is where we're gonna be able to focus on just the speed and transition while our feet are completely off the ground. Now, we want to think about setting up some boxes to where they're close enough where we can rest on our elbows without having our elbows out too wide. From here, I'm going to bring my feet up off the ground and I'm going to use my weight to transition forward. From here, I can practice that dip out just to work on the strength of finishing the muscle up. But keep in mind, this progression is really designed and focused on the transition portion of driving the head forward and getting your shoulders over the top. So now as we come around to the side and we watch the position of the transition, you'll notice my hands are behind my shoulders. And then from here, I'm going to pull myself over the top to where we get ourselves elbow over the wrist. From there, depending on how that stuff works, we're gonna take it to the high rings. Now, when we go to the rings, working on a strict muscle up is gonna be a great way to develop the movement pattern and build strength in the movement pattern versus using a kip, which is gonna help get our body weight up closer and faster, which will make the turnover quick. From there, we'll start off back into that false grip, dead hang, over the top, press out of the top, control yourself back down for good practice. Have fun.